When the word scary is brought up, what comes to your mind first? What is the first thing that pops into your head? You know, now I ask this since this is the month of October, the month of all things spooky, scary, and all that. Halloween is approaching, and I wanted to make another video talking about the 100 girlfriends who really, 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 really love a manga series, but with the sort of Halloween scary theme, right? And emphasis on scary, because I ask myself, what is or perhaps are the scariest moments within this Hyakuno series, within the series Hyakuno or 100 Kanojo, or the 100 girlfriends who really, 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 really love you? But before answering that, I just wanted to go back to that definition of scary, right? Different people have different perspectives as to what is scary for them. Is it something that incites fear, makes you piss your pants? Is it something that affects you mentally or emotionally, like the fear of the future? Is it something that may affect you physically, right? Like the fear of drowning, fear of getting hurt, and the like. Is this fear visible, invisible, universal, or something that is personal to you? A lot of, again, as I've said, other people have different ways as to how they would see their fear, right? And whatever shape or form scary, quote unquote scary, is to you, or rather fear, I should say, for me, it is something that really triggers your fear factor. Actually, yeah, I think that's what scary means, right? I don't know about that whole rabbit hole, or that whole the philosophical definition of fear, right? But if it makes you scared, then that's your fear, right? I think I'm interchanging the two terms, right? But within the Hyakuno series, there are some scary illustrations, so to speak, ones that are so good to be as similar or on par with that of horror manga, if I may add. The illustrator Nozuwa Yukiko Sensei really does a good job with the illustrations of this beautiful manga. But the fear that I wanted to share with you is a sort of more emotional one, psychological one, I suppose. I don't know. Now, in my opinion, this particular chapter is the scariest chapter that I've encountered as a reader. That really made me, really scared for my life. And this is none other than chapter 14, the Park Bouquet Toss War chapter. Now, a quick recap of this chapter. Chapter 14, it's pretty, quite early on, right? Wow. So, within this chapter, the Rentaro family, which I may add, this is also the very chapter where the term was first used, right? Rentaro family, adorable. So in that chapter, the family were at the park. They're being lovey-dovey as usual, and then came an announcement of a bouquet toss event where the winners will take a photo while wearing a wedding attire, wedding gown, wedding suit, and all that. And the Rentaro family, of course, they wanted to get in on this, especially Hakari. Now, the family competes in the event, they won, and Hakari was chosen to be the person who will wear the wedding gown, because only one couple rather, can do so, right? And since at that time there was Shizuka, Nano, and Kusuri Karane, Hakari was the one who was chosen to wear the gown. And within that moment, or after that moment rather, where they had taken the commemorative picture, Hakari dropped a line. There was a line that really sent shivers to my spine. It sent my reality crumbling, making me think about whether this reality is real or not, making me question my very existence, my very purpose in life, so to speak. Hakari asked Rentaro to break up with her. Now, I'm not so sure if this is the case for most of you, but I think, in case if ever some of you might think that, why is a rejection that scary, right, when it's just a rejection, so to speak. Now, of course, needless to say, I know how painful it is rejections can be, right? But that there's that very same that notion, right, where it's that that scene isn't really that scary as compared to other horrendous or terrifying things such as ghouls, monsters, and really gruesome stuff that really makes you fear, right? Um, and as I've said, this is a more emotional type of fear that has been brought up, right? Now, this moment was during the time when the series was still ongoing. So, when the chapter ended at that instant or that moment when Hakari wanted to break up with Rentaro, and she did it with a smiling face. She did it while smiling, right? I I was honestly pretty terrified, right? Shocked even because it was a situation where the girlfriends, the heroines, especially Hakari, who through the chapters, little may it be, through the chapters that we got to know Hakari, it still conveys to us that she is someone who deeply, really, 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 really loves and is really obsessed with Rentaro, right? So super in love with the protagonist, and for someone like her to just suddenly wanted to break up, especially when there was no context or no reason yet provided yet, right, at that time, since as I've said, the the chapters were still ongoing, so it was sort of a cliffhanger, right? At that moment, my mind was just blown. Now, you may say to yourself that there's also a similar instance. For those of you who are familiar with this manga, there was a similar instance that happened when Rentaro met Nano, or in Nano's debut chapter, so to speak. And it is when Nano had rejected, or sort of, I guess, nullified the confession that she'd made to Rentaro. Now, the reason why I guess I sort of took it quote unquote lightly, right, is because number one, Nano is a new character that we as readers haven't gotten to know her all too well yet, right? I want to stress all too well, right? Now, furthermore, judging from her personality, so to speak, it's sort of difficult, or personality, or I guess her true feelings, right? It's difficult to really comprehend whether her feelings is really settled, or is really confirmed on the fact that she really does have feelings for Rentaro. Of course, that is until the following chapter, where all the things were resolved and everything was made clear, right? And secondly, and I guess most importantly, is that within the chapter, or within the scene that Rentaro faced a rejection, I guess, so to speak, yeah, we get to see that Rentaro really stood firm and declared that he will really solve the problem. So going back to Hakari's breakup statement, right, we know that Hakari had it hard for Rentaro, yet she asks to break up with him, ending it with that cliffhanger. That sent me to the abyss. And it's in this moment as well, where I might add, is also the very moment that will start one of the most important arcs, in my opinion, or I guess it's something that people in the Hyakuno community can also sort of agree with, I suppose. This is one of the most important arcs, or most I guess notable arcs within the series, which is the Hakari rescue arc. I suppose I can also add that this entire arc itself is also in one way or another scary, in the sense that it really challenges the determination or overall core concept of this manga series, of which I really love about it, which is that this is a rom-com love comedy harem where heroines don't lose. So in that moment where Hakari wanted to break up with Rentaro, a heroine being lost, right, I was scared to know that there are exemptions to this, or so I thought, right? But thankfully, everything worked out in the end, and if I have to say, it was resolved quite beautifully. A lot of emotions were really poured out, and a lot of exchanges of dialogues between characters. It's a wonderful arc, right? I absolutely love it. And I think I've said this before, but again, I really just wanted to stress that this arc really opens to us as readers to know that heroines will truly not, no heroines are gonna be left behind, right? Everyone is included because in one way or another, Rentaro will surely find a way to resolve everything. Now, needless to say that, of course, there is more to this arc, especially on part with Hakari and Rentaro. Hakari is the mother of Hakari, and how the Rentaro family will go on, or how will they proceed to go with the, I guess, the newfound impression, ideals, or I guess the newfound lessons that they have obtained from this whole storyline, from the developments that they have, endured, the challenges that they have endured, rather. A lot of impactful stuff. But the main idea that I wanted to get across, right, is that fear of losing a heroine. That is what terrifies me. Quick side note, since we're on the topic on rejections, right? There's also one chapter within the series, in one scene where it hits hard, and this is during Iku's debut chapter, where she was rejected. Rentaro rejected her confession. Rentaro rejected Iku's confession, and just like Rentaro and us as the audience, we spat blood. Our bodies were crumbling down. We couldn't take it anymore. We felt it's like we're breaking apart from the inside, right? Because it was Rentaro rejecting a confession from a girl. It's painful, right? It's painful, but of course, thankfully, it was just part of the plan to to please Iku, because for those of you who don't know, Iku has a stoic work ethic, and by that I mean that she's a massive M and she loves her pain. But yeah, you almost got us there, I suppose. But knowing Rentaro, he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't do things if it wasn't for a good reason or whatnot. So everything's good. So there you have it. In my opinion, the scariest chapter in the manga series, the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. A scary chapter or rather a scary moment within that chapter is in chapter 14. I would also love to know your thoughts about what do you think is the scariest chapter or moment in this series. Please do comment them down below if you're interested. And yeah, with that being said, take care, family, and happy Halloween.